Hello, Jordy Skip here, and first up, all the best for 2023. It's a new year, so okay. What this video is all about is how I dose Seachem fertilizers. What I'll do, I'll show you the exact fertile routine which I do using all these supplements. Bear in mind what I say, disclaimer, it's not the only way, it's not concrete, it's just the way I've done it, and I find I'm getting good results with it. And the way I do it is similar to a lot of contest aquascapers and renowned aquascapers within the field. So those guys have been doing it, so I've kind of like followed them to a certain extent, and it works great. In a previous video I have done a rundown of Seachem's plant supplement range, and also it's got a link in there to the basic, their recommended dosing routine, which it does work really well, and I've tried it in the past. It's just I've tweaked it slightly, so I find it a bit better for some of the aquariums I've done, especially heavily planted ones. So I'm not saying that's wrong, it does work, but this is the way I do it, and if you choose to follow this, hopefully you'll get the same results I've had. So that's all that bit out the way, so without further ado, let's just crack on and let's get into my routine with Seachem Ferts. Okay, we know plants need certain nutrients. We can provide that with the substrate in the soil, which is a great way of doing it, especially for the heavy roof feeders. So, and that actually leaches out good nutrients within the water columns too. But they deplete very quickly, certain ferts, so we need to keep these topped up to get maximum results. I'm not saying you have to fert, but I would highly recommend using ferts to get the best out of your plants, the best growth, best colours, and also protecting against disease. So this is why we add ferts to the water column. Even if you've got a epiphyte only scape where everything's attached to the wooden rock, it's good to add a supplement because that's the only nutrition they're going to get basically. So yeah, that's the basics of it. When I first plant the tank up, new plants can't really take in nutrients. So there is a product which I use and I get great results from, and it's Seachem Flourish Advance. So for new plants, it stimulates the roots, help them settle. So I class it as a settling period, I class it as like the baby food, the formula. So Flourish Advance is great for that. So for the first 10-14 days, as per bottle instructions, Flourish Advance, great product. Okay, so we've got past that initial period for the first couple of weeks, and now we're going to start changing my ferts up. So what I go onto then is Flourish trace, so all the essential trace elements like copper, zinc, boron, etc, etc. So trace elements are really important. They deplete very quick in aquarium conditions, so it's important that we use this. Again, as per bottle instructions, I dose daily, but you can dose as per bottle instructions and you'll still get great results. I just prefer to dose daily, and as long as you keep on top of those water changes, so 2 smaller ones throughout the week or 1 large water change, and you can dose daily, it's fine with the trace elements, and that's what I do. But again, if you don't want to do that, follow the bottle instructions, you'll be fine. So alongside the trace elements, also daily, I dose potassium. Potassium depletes very, very quickly in a heavily planted aquarium, especially when growth really kicks in. So potassium is an important one to dose daily. Again, I dose this alongside the trace. So the daily ones are the trace and the potassium. I do them every day with a large water change every week. I'm not going to get overcomplicated in this because there's no need. I'm not a scientist. So we're dosing the trace and potassium every day, or as per bottle instructions, and we'll continue to do so. But as time goes on, especially when growth really kicks in, certain things become a bit more depleted. So again, we need to top that up. And the next one is usually iron. So iron, plants rely a lot on iron. So if that's depleting quickly, you usually see signs of its lack of growth or disease. And there's no set standard. You'll see a lot of diagrams on certain diseases and problems with plants, and it'll say, oh, holes in leaves, add more phosphorus, or if it's yellow, add this. I don't think that's the case because it's really hard to determine what the disease is in the plant. We're not experts. well, I don't claim to be an expert. That's why I go with kind of, I would say the majority of professional aquascapers or competition aquascapers, I find their dosing routines have worked really well, and that's why I follow. I think I've said that. I tend to dose iron every other day on top of the trace and the potassium, especially like I say, it's usually after, I would say, probably week 4 to 6, when the plants are really starting to grow, add some iron. So a good source of iron, what the plants can absorb easily. As time goes on, you might see some deficiencies in plants, like a paler colour, and it's usually a good time to add nitrogen. So later down the line, you can add the nitrogen. I start adding the nitrogen usually around 3 months in, and I just do it as per bottle instructions, which is around twice a week. So just a little recap. So in the startup period, for the first 10-14 days, I use Seachem Flourish Advance, which again, like I was saying, is the settling period of the plant, so it helps stimulate the root growth and the terminal buds. So look, as like baby food, baby formula for the first infant period. That's the way I look at it. So once we've done that, don't use the advance. So after 10-14 days, we'll go on to dosing trace alongside potassium. And I do that daily, but it can be done every other day. And again, these are essential for plant growth, plant development, and preventing disease. So really good one to use. Once the plants are starting to grow more, you can notice straight away in your tank when your plants are really kicking in and growth just seems to happen. I don't know what you find with planted aquariums is you might get a bit melt, you get some diatom issues, and everything seems a bit stunted. And then all of a sudden, bang, things happen. Plants have adapted to the lower conditions and they really start to grow. So they're settled, and because they're settled, they've really started to grow. They want them nutrients. So some of it may be lagging, so that's when we'll introduce some iron, and maybe later down the line, the nitrogen. So they are the ones I stick with. You might be saying, why not use an all-in-one? Good question. The reason I don't like to use all-in-ones is because as much as it's all-in-one and it's convenient, I think it can pose issues as well. So if you're putting too much of something and there's no way you can control it, or you're seeing deficiencies, what do? Are you going to buy additional anyways? So I just like to have separate and just keep an eye on things. For example, it contains phosphorus. I don't do phosphorus. I think the phosphates in your water must be okay, but I've found in the past when I have used phosphorus or certain all-in-ones, I've getting algae issues. Since I've started dosing separate, it's very rare I get serious algae issues. So that's why I don't use phosphorus. But phosphorus is obviously going to be in an all-in-one, or too much of it, say, so that's why I tend to shy away from that. Not saying it's wrong, it is convenient, I have done in the past, but I get better results by dosing separately. I feel in control of things, and I can add things, take things away if need be. So that's the reason I prefer this dosing. Yes, I'm an ambassador for Seachem, and I will talk about Seachem, but if I wasn't, I would still dose this way. I've used Seachem products way before I was an ambassador for Seachem, and I'll continue to do so. If you worry about cost, the dosing is very small amounts compared to some products. Fair enough, if you've got super large planted tanks, yeah, it is going to be costly, but that's just, it kind of goes hand in hand. The bigger you go, the more expensive things become, so that's the downside of having a large tank. Although I must admit, they do look gorgeous, and I'd love to have a big 6-footer somewhere, but I haven't. The dosing anyway, so for example, iron, so 1 capful for each 200 litres. So you can imagine my tanks are 60 litres. You can use a pipette, you can use a pipette or a syringe if you want to control your dosing more, which I do. I really hope I put that forward as a basic way of doing it. Like I say, we're not going into the science, it's just basically why we dose and what we dose. That's basically it. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. A lot more tutorials to come. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up, and you know the drill, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because it really does help. As always, appreciate you watching. Hope you've gotten something from it. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.